Ooh, I have a really great video for you guys today. I need you to be patient because the video might get a little technical. We're going to break it down as simple as possible because this is something that we all need to know. We got to go deep inside of our cell so that we could understand what is causing our skin to age, our cells to malfunction, what's causing neurological disorders, things like fibromyalgia, depression, infertility issues. There's a very important cell structure that isn't really spoken about that is the key to all of these things that I just mentioned. So we're going to go deep inside the cell. I have a nice diagram for you guys right here, and we're going to go over each part, not in depth each part, but just the mitochondria, which is the baddest boy that needs to be functioning at all times. What we have here is a diagram of the cell. And we have about 75 trillion or more of these in our bodies, and that's what makes up a human being. Inside of the cell, we have the nucleus. This is what holds the DNA. The DNA you get from your mother and your father, also known as the chromosomes. And then we have the Golgi apparatus. This is like the FedEx for protein. When the protein is already packaged and prepared by the ribosome, the Golgi apparatus is what ships it out, so that it could do whatever function is necessary by the body at that time. Then you have the cell membrane over here. The cell membrane is the security, it's the bouncer for the club of the cell. Anything that needs to get inside of the cell has to get past the cell membrane. And the cell membrane has an intelligence that lets the cell know, yeah, we're going to let this guy in. No, we're not going to let this guy in. This guy's packing. Don't let him in. We have to protect the cell by any means necessary. But the thing that we are going to focus on today is these little orange sausage-looking structures called the mitochondria. And most of us have heard about the mitochondria. We're familiar with it from biology class, but we don't understand how critical it is to our health, to our development, to protecting us from things such as tumors, cancers, weight loss, infertility, diabetes, neurological disorders, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. This plays a huge role in all of those different functions. So we're going to go inside of the mitochondria. This is a little diagram of what inside of it looks like. This is the matrix. This is where all the magic happens. The orange line is the inner membrane space, and then you have the exterior. But we're not going to go too deep inside of it. I just want to explain one of the processes, which is called the electron transport chain. Get familiar with this, the electron transport chain, because in this system is where free radicals are produced. Free radicals are created when the mitochondria burns up the food that we eat using oxygen that we breathe. And during that process, it can damage the DNA that is inside of the nucleus. And damaged DNA is no good for any of us. What's interesting about the mitochondria or the mitochondrial DNA is that it's passed down by way of the mother only. By way of the mother only. The nuclear DNA, this DNA has the mother and the father's information. But mitochondrial DNA only has the mother's information. And it's only because we do that to prevent mutations from being passed down to the baby. Sperm needs to have a high metabolism to be motile. For it to move so fast, the sperm has to have a high metabolism. And during that process, it creates a lot of free radical damage. And sperm are known to quickly accumulate mutations in their mitochondrial DNA. So in order to get rid of that kind of defect or that potential source of defective DNA, sperm mitochondria is eliminated during the process while it's it is traveling. So mitochondrial DNA only passed down by way of the mother. Okay. Deep inside the mitochondria, there is a mechanism called the citric acid cycle or the tricarboxylic acid cycle. Inside of this mechanism, there are molecules formed. And the molecules that are formed come into what's known as complex 1. This is the start of where we start extracting energy from our food. So the molecules from the citric acid cycle, along with your food, come together with oxygen and enter the cycle right here. I colored this in because my daughter used this as a real board and put marker all over my board. So just ignore anything that's on the bottom because I can't erase it. This is the start of the electron transport chain, combining molecules from your food with oxygen with the enzymes that's already inside of the mitochondria. So the electrons are making its way into this area. And then it's essentially, it's like the game hot potato. You have to pass the electrons from one person to the next. Or the game taps. There's a game taps from back in the day. If you are 90s babies, you know what I'm talking about. The moment you drop the ball, you are out. And that's similar to when the free radicals are being leaked out of the electron transport chain. Matter of fact, we're going to play a little taps real quick. Hold on. Okay, who remembers the game taps? Don't move, all right? Get me tight. Taps is a game where you and the ball cannot be in the air at the same time. You gotta keep throwing it. And then there's always somebody who comes out of nowhere and does a trick like this and throws the ball to somebody and they end up on the floor at the same time as the ball. Or they lose the ball. Now that person is out. That is the electron. The electron slips out of the electron transport chain and drops out. And when it drops out, free radical damage is produced. Nope, things is dropping. Hold on. Now in this game of taps along the electron transport chain where you got this complex passing electrons to this complex, which passes electrons to this complex, things leak out, free radicals are produced, and that's what damages the cell, that's what damages the nucleus in the cell, that's what damages DNA. And once you have DNA damage, the cells need to go into what's known as apoptosis. This is where the cell commits suicide because it's now damaged. The issue when cells do not commit suicide, this is the only time in life when you want to celebrate suicide. When the cells do not commit suicide, this is one of the root causes of cancer. Mutated cells start to replicate because they don't have the capacity to destroy themselves. They need to be able to destroy themselves once they're mutated. Now, we all have free radicals that damage our cells or attack our cells 10,000 times a day. They damage the DNA, a mutation occurs, but we have instances and we have mechanisms within the cell structure itself that's able to repair the mutation. That's where the ribosome comes in. Ribosome is like the construction worker of the cell. They do a lot of repairs to the damage. But there are times where the cell does have to just obliterate itself, and then that tissue starts to degenerate with each dying cell. That's why it's important to exercise, because without exercise, the electrons start to get backed up, and then you have more leakage. So electrons come in through the electron transport chain from the foods that we eat, from the citric acid cycle. They all combine with oxygen, and they enter through here. So now we have electrons here. You eating like there's no tomorrow. They transfer all these electrons here. They transfer all the electrons here. That's a sign for electrons, but there's a whole bunch of electrons. It goes into complex 4, and ATP is the final process in where we extract our food to make energy. If I have a ton of electrons in here, and I am sitting all day, I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything but sitting down all day at work. I sit down when I get home. I sit down on the train. I sit down driving all day. All of these electrons are just sitting here. And now you eat again. More electrons. More electrons. And where they spill out the most is in complex 1 and complex 3. That's where most of the spillage happens. Now, I have another meal. I didn't move for the day. I have another meal. More electrons, more spillage, more free radical damage. When you exercise, you are using up the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate. If you are not moving and you're eating too much, you are having more free radical damage than you can imagine. That's why it doesn't matter whether you're slim, whether you're overweight, whether you're medium sized, you always have to move, especially if you eat a lot. One of the ways to minimize free radical damage is caloric restriction. If you eat, which I love intermittent fasting, if you eat from 12 to 8, that gives your body enough time to use up a lot of those electrons that are sitting inside of the electron transport chain. If you're eating, and you are not exercising, you will have more free radical production than someone who exercises and eats bad. It's that simple, because the person that is exercising, their diet might not be great, but they're using a lot of these electrons that's sitting in their system. If you eat fairly decent, but you don't move, you can potentially have more free radicals than someone that doesn't eat as clean, but they're out, they're on their bicycle, they're doing push-ups, they're doing pull-ups, they're using all of these extra, because food is fuel. What do you need all the fuel for if you're not using it? That's like me going to my car, putting the pump in, and I just keep on putting gas in. The gas tank is full, but now I keep putting more gas in, and it's starting to spill outside of my car because I'm not driving it. Why am I filling it up if I'm not driving it? You can't keep eating if you're not going to move. Another thing, as far as infertility, that's really important with the electron transport chain. Infertility could be caused with mitochondrial dysfunction because the molecule that shuttles the electrons from complex 1 to 2 to 3 is called coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is reduced as we age. So a lot of women that try to have pregnancies late in life, not that it's not possible, because if you eat healthy, if you're exercising, you can have a sufficient amount of coenzyme Q10 to transport the energy that's needed to keep your embryo or to keep the zygote alive. If you don't have enough energy and if you don't have enough coenzyme Q10 to transport the energy, then the fetus will abort. Coenzyme Q10 is very important. So along with other herbs that I provide myself, coenzyme Q10 is a great supplement to take if you're trying to get pregnant, along with working out and eating right. Now, if you like this video or you want something a little bit more in depth regarding the electron transport chain or the citric acid cycle, the tricarboxylic acid cycle, it's the same thing. They just have a bunch of names for it. Krebs cycle. Comment below, like the video, share the video. I could do something a little more technical. I didn't want to put it in this one because I just wanted to give you an idea of what is happening inside of the cell so you could be more conscious when you choose your foods. Electricity is extremely important. The way cyanide poisoning kills is by shutting down the electron transport chain. Cyanide is a poison that literally stops the flow of electrons from coming in your body. So that just shows how important it is to be electric and to eat live foods that have electricity, because when you eat an apple or when you eat a grape with seeds or when you eat an avocado, when you eat those things, they have electrons to share with your body. A lot of the dead foods, a lot of the foods that are inorganic, that have pesticides, which is literally roach spray on it, those are taking your life force energy from you. So you want to eat more live foods. And you want to slowly transition out of having red meat, pork, chicken, even fish. You know, I still eat fish myself, but there's going to be a time where we're going to have to eliminate those things. Because the things that cause cancer, aside from the spillage of the electrons and the free radical damage, is lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D is something that we need to get from the sun, especially highly melanated people. We need vitamin D to protect ourselves from cancer. Don't let anybody sit here and tell you that the sun is going to give you skin cancer. I'm in the sun all day, every day when I'm able to be. We have vitamin D receptors throughout our body. Ladies with fibroids, your uterus has vitamin D receptors via the endocrine system. And I say receptors, I mean the endocrine system is like a Wi-Fi system. Your body creates a hormone, which is essentially a protein. It's the way that amino acids are strung together to perform a certain function. So if your body feels like you need a specific protein, it needs progesterone, it's going to signal it and send that signal to a certain area in your body to create that hormone. Now, if I need a particular hormone and I'm eating a lot of meat, but I'm not getting any natural foods, the meat strains the DNA from the cow or the DNA from the chicken, that can do be a receptor. It could be a receptor interference. So instead of me producing natural human organic hormones, the cow or the chicken or another animal can come in and block the receptor, and now they attach to that receptor and cause a lot of issues. We have receptors all over our body for vitamin D, for estrogen, for progesterone, even for testosterone. If we're eating things that have those hormones too, they can potentially take over our body and start causing issues down the line. Animals have all of those hormones. Their hormones can get in and take over our bodies and cause a lot of issues later on down the line. That's why cell and mitochondrial function is extremely important. Getting in the sun is extremely important. You need that vitamin D. Vitamin D receptors in the uterus, that's big. That means your uterus also needs a form of vitamin D. And supplements is cool, but there's nothing like the natural thing. I always make it my business in the wintertime to go someplace at least 2 times a year and sit out in the sun. If you like this video, like, comment. If you want something else, still comment below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to put the link above so that you can subscribe to it, because I am going to post this on Instagram. If you want to break down inside of each mechanism in the electron transport chain, comment below. It gets a little crazy, but if you enjoy biology, you'll like it. Even if you don't enjoy biology, you like it. I never used to like science. I was a straight F student in science. No, I got D's because I got out of college. I was all right. But I didn't like it. But when you learn it in a different way and you could relate to it a different way and you could apply it to real life, that's when you will truly enjoy it. So if you want to break down the cell a little more, let me know. Comment right below. Don't forget to visit my page, High Frequency. Any kind of herb that you might need for a specific situation. You always need herbs. Herbs will always be a part of your diet. You need natural foods. Visit High Frequency, the website, or my Instagram page. DM for questions. It's better to DM me on the High Frequency page because I don't have as much DMs in there, so I could get to them faster. And come on, people. Let's move. Let's exercise. Let's work out. Let's eat more live foods. That's all we need to do. It's a matter of balance. I ain't saying to turn into an alkaline person overnight. It's a process. But we could all get there. It just takes time because the food's out nowadays. These frankenfoods, they're drugs. They're very addictive. They're not natural. So for someone to tell you to just become alkaline or become a vegan overnight, it's not realistic. These parasites and these worms that are in our bodies, there's so many worms and parasites. If you want pictures, I'll send you. They take over and they hide inside of our nerves, and that's what makes us feel like we need meat, we need cookies, we need sugar, because we have organisms that's living within us that are taking over our senses. So that's why it's a slow process to transition, because it's literally addictive ass food. It is. But over time we can do it. You know, if you're eating a bunch of chicken 7 days a week, minimize it to 5 days a week. Then you move on to 3 days a week. And then you go on to 2 days a week. If you could do anything and take anything from this video, eliminate pork immediately. Especially my people, we have to get off of the pork, because porks, they release the most worms. And the thing with their worms, they have worms called prions that actually start to eat the matter in your brain. And the issue with that is that they just continue to eat it. And the matter won't just grow back that easily. The way to grow brain tissue by stimulating it with new thoughts. So it's always good to read a new book or to learn new things to stimulate brain growth. Prions come from pork. They like to eat brain matter. And that's something that we all need to be aware of. We have to eliminate the amount of animals that we take in each and every day. Too much animal, no good. All right, I have somebody coming downstairs to disrupt this video again. So, you want to help? All right, come.
I want to help you do the video.
All right, go right here. I want you to tell everybody about the electron transport chain.
It's very good for you.
It's very good for you. Yes, we need electricity, okay? We need electric foods.
Else you're not going to be so strong.
That's right. if you do not use up the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate, you will have an increased amount of free radical damage. The free radicals is going to damage the DNA that is inside of the nucleus. All right? All of these different things code for something, and free radicals disrupt the code. So if the code is supposed to say ABCD, the mutation will say CDBA. And that's where problems start, and that's where apoptosis comes in.
And then they cannot count to Z.
Exactly.
And then they're going to be like Z, A, P, and P.
Right, and that's not the sequence that we want. You want to have the sequence that's passed down from mom and dad inside of your chromosomes.
And you want to count like this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
That's the
1,
sequence
2,
we
3,
need.
4, 5,
Yep.
6, 7.
You need a chronological sequence. Exactly. Because if it starts to go in a different way, A, B, Q, R, L, P, that's how we have mutations. All right?
This is the food.
Yes, this is the food that turns into electrons, and it's transported by coenzyme Q10.
You need to eat a lot of food, or else you're going to grow back small.
But if you're eating the food, you also have to work out.
Yes.
Because then you'll have too much energy, and then that energy will back up and start creating problems. So you have to work out. You want to show them a workout?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. What can you do? We're going to end this video because people are
One.
probably over it. Yep, just one. Woo! You see them electrons coming out? The electrons are, what? We got about 2 electrons out. Yes. Anytime you move, you're releasing free radical. Yes. That was like a jump squat. Okay. What about the handstand? Okay. Whoa, that looks good. That looks good.
You want to get to do handstands and push-ups.
Exactly. Say thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching a video of me and Mommy.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.